wrecking ball is swinging in a slow motion arc, tearing down the gargoyles, leaving only the dark. The marble veins of history are bled into the street, while the ghost of an archway bows to concrete defeat. No more gables, no more gold, no more stories to be told, just a blueprint of the silence, growing stiff and growing cold. Under the flicker of the buzzing fluorescent lights, the spectrum is a prison, the rainbow is a crime. We're just monochrome figures treading water in time. Oh, we're drained of color, drained of soul. Check the roster, check the rules, check the uniform of day. The HOA is watching, lest your curtains start to stray. Keep the garden level, keep the spirit in the box. They've put a legal padlock on the way a person talks. Inside your own four walls, you're just a tenant of the state. silver machines, chasing the ghost of a light that was green. But it's gray, it's all just shades of. It's all just shades of reflects the nothingness of a pale synthetic sky, where the birds have forgotten the reason they fly. The architecture screams in right angles and steel, a city built to ensure that you no longer feel. So close your eyes, my friend, and try to remember the blue before the gray tide came and swallowed up you. Just a shade of gray in your home. Just a shade of gray. Your life is ours, so just stay quiet and numb. A colorful heart is a heart that's content, and a heart that's content won't spend every cent. So they sell us the shadow, they sell us the void, with the vibrant and vivid completely destroyed. The newsman is smiling in a suit of dull chrome, broadcasting misery straight into your home. Color is an agitator. Saturation leads to sedition. By the gray, be the gray. Happiness is a budget deficit. The CEO's checkbook is vibrant and green, but that's the one color that's never been seen by the drones in the cubicles, the ghosts in the street, who find their salvation in a shopping receipt. filtered out the light and gave us back this hue. I see the copper steeples reaching up to touch the sun, handcarved stone and ivy before the vandals had begun to tear down every curve and arch, to level every soul, and trade the master's chisel for a concrete pouring bowl. The stories that the red bricks told. Now it's all just angles, it's all just glass, watching the ghosts of the artisans pass. How did we let them? How did we fall from the Sistine ceiling to a bathroom wall? I'm drowning in the ash of what we used to be. This loveless, soulless, ugly catastrophe. Street in 65, the cars were teal and cherry red. The people had a stride that said they weren't among the dead. The buildings had a face, a brow, a grand and noble stare. Not these sightless mirrors reflecting back a vacant glare. Now the entryway writes letters. If a flower dares to bloom, they want the world as sterile as a high security room. It's a graveyard of ambition, it's a monument to spite, where they've patented the darkness and they've taxed away the light. I look out of my window at the so-called progress now. And I feel the weight of centuries pressing on my brow. We were giants once, we painted with the wind. Now we're just the barcodes where the ink is wearing thin. I'll keep my box of photos, I'll keep my mind keen in a world that's been lobotomized by a corporate machine. I remember the beauty is gone. I remember it went with the sun. It was so bright, I had to squint my eyes. It was so bright. Welcome to the drawing board, we've beaten your soul and found that inspiration is a threat to our control. The socialist directive says the spirit must be flat. A worker with a vision never stays where he is at. So we peel away the ornament, we strip the marble bare. We replace the cathedrals with a concrete scaffold stair. For if a man looks upward at a spire in the sun, he might forget that there's work to be done. Control the masses, bleach the brain, wash the passion down the drain. A grayscale mind is a mind that obeys, lost in a fog of 1,000 grays. No art to stir them, no beauty to see, just the cold hard logic of the state's decree. Trigger for the heart, and we can't have the people torn by beauty or by art. Red is revolution and gold is for the pride, so we bury all the rainbows where the dissidents reside. We give them square inch living in a box of neutral tone, where they sit in silent worship of the government's throne. A depressed man is a quiet man, he's easy to command. He'll take the heavy shovel and he'll never ask why this land. marbles cracked in the forum, the neons flickering out. The lions are fed on the bread and the circuses of doubt. We've traded the lie for the digital hum of the screen. A godless parade of the plastic, the cold and the mean. Like Rome in the twilight, we've bartered our virtues for vice, ignoring the cracks in the columns, the melting of ice. We're distracted by trinkets, by silver, by charcoal gray toys, while the halls of the Senate are filled with a hollower noise. And the barbarians aren't at the gate, my friend. They're sitting in the chairs where the laws are penned. A society blinded by the glare of them all, building the ruins before the great fall. Higher aspirations are buried in the mud, while the thirsty authoritarians are tasting the blood. They promised us progress, they promised a new common good. Then they turned us to timber and burned us for firewood. A population of puppets staring at a flickering light, fed on a diet of envy and programmed for fright. When you lose your connection to the stars and the deep, the shepherds come early to slaughter the sheep. The Caesar wears pinstripes, the centurion carries a pen, and the cycle of empires is starting all over again. Force of the fall is the weight of the ego against the great wall. We reach for the heavens, then settle for clay. Now the gods of the market have turned us away. No spirit, no incense, no fire, no grace, just the cold glass reflection of a dying towers lean like the towers of Babylon's ghost. And we're just the parasites killing the host. The order they sold us is the silence of the grave, where the king is a coward and the citizens a slave. The color is gone and the pillars are turning to dust. The machinery of progress is seizing with rust. Watch the horizon, the shadows are starting to grow. The seeds that we sow. Rome is burning, we're just watching the screen. Rome is burning, and the screen is gray. Pushes through the gray. A child finds a paintbrush and washes the shadows away. The first drop of crimson hits the sidewalk like a spark. A tiny defiance against the encroaching dark. In the stroke of a hand, if we don't paint the truth back into the land. colors shimmer as the sunlight hits the glass, reflecting a rainbow that the law cannot pass. The authoritarians tremble in their suits of dove. The authoritarians tremble in their suits of dull lead as the city awakens from the life of the dead. It's not just the houses, it's the heart and the mind, leaving the socialist winter forever behind. We're banding together, the many, the bold and the free, replacing their modern with the beauty of we. ever seen. They use their socialist logic to say that the masses are happier living in gray. But the streets are a canvas, the people the brush, and the obedient worker is gone in the rush. The color gods come in, not with bombs or with lead, but with the one thing the authoritarians dread: the truth in a spectrum they cannot control. Between the modern light and the cold hard air, the general sighed and he lowered his hand, and the thunder of lead ripped through the land. The first to fall was a boy with a jar of sunset orange and a morning star. They thought that the bullets would quiet the song, but they didn't know how the light could be strong. And the streets ran crimson, a terrifying silence are broken, while the truth of the slaughter is barely spoken. They spin the blood into unrest and noise, while the authoritarians play with their toys. But numbers are rising like a tide in the night, 10,000 more for every light they put out of sight. They fight with the stones, they fight with the steel, they fight with the hunger that's jagged and real. You can't kill an idea with a hollow point shell. You can't cage a spirit in a gray-walled cell. The faith of the many is a hammer of God, breaking the concrete and tilling the sod. The towers are shaking, the glass starts to crack. There's no turning home and there's no looking back. The palace is breached, the mirrors are smashed, the playbook of control is burned into ash. The leaders are found in their bunkers of gray, cowering from the light of a vibrant new day. No cameras to spin it, no anchors to lie, just the cold, silent judgment of a wide open sky. The debt must be settled, the blood has been spent, the final decree of the government. no fear of shadows or silence in the air. They're scrubbing the soot from the marble and the rose, and planting the gardens where the concrete once froze. The music has spilled from the windows and bars, a symphony rising to meet with the stars. The artists are painting the myths on the wall, and the square of the people is a festival hall. Keep it, if you can. Don't let the gray come back. Don't let the gray. Don't let it come back. This is the end. This is the end. This is the end. The end of this ugly world. This is the end. This is the end. The end. This is the end of this ugly world.